On this episode of Bite Sized, we are not watching and discussing any part of the movie Twilight, at least not in the normal way. Sorry for the fake out, everyone. Hi, friends. Ben here. As I'm recording this, we're still in that weird Christmas, New Year's haze where it's hard to find guests who aren't busy or out of town or both. But I didn't want to leave you without an episode, so as a way of fitting something in here, I put together a little bit of a clip show, some highlights from the first 15 or so episodes. This also should serve as a good first episode. If you just found the show, welcome. This is the perfect time for it. Or if you want to send the show to a friend, this is a great way to jump on. In it, you'll find some of my favorite bits, the origins of some recurring segments, and a good time for all. And now, on to the episode. Well, then let me start off with the first question I'm going to ask everyone on the show.
And I get to be the very first
You do.
person. Oh,
Yes.
I better set the bar high.
Every time I ask this of someone else, I will say, as I always ask, but not for you, because it's the first time.
Oh, this is good.
This is exciting.
Okay.
Sarah Murphy, what is your experience with the Twilight franchise?
So I was a preteen and teen girl when Twilight came out, so I feel like it was very marketed to me, but I had a lot of internalized misogyny and was like, other girls like this? I hate this.
Interesting.
I'm one of the boys. That was my energy in high school.
And how'd that work out for you?
I mean, like I had a number of like close guy friends, and now I'm dating a woman, so I feel like life really did an Uno reverse on me.
Interesting.
Of surprise, motherfucker. Actually, ladies, really cool.
Just to quickly recap for those of you who are not watching along with the show, it is strictly Arizona. We start with Bella digging up a cactus. We get a southwest plane flying over
You
some
wish
mesas.
it was her digging up a cactus. No, she's holding an already potted cactus that they absolutely bought at a Hobby Lobby not 30 minutes before they shot this scene.
Then what was the spade she was holding for?
Oh, that clean spade with no dirt on it? Oh, a lovely little piece of set dressing. I think that's what my favorite thing about the shot is.
Are you implying that they didn't actually have Kristen Stewart go out in the desert and dig up a cactus?
Look, would you want to watch 3 to 4 seconds of an actress doing something with her hands, a little bit of busy work, the business,
Sure.
as they call it in a movie? Or would you rather see that same actress close her eyes and breathe deeply
And
for
just
3 to 4
sorta
seconds while holding a potted cactus?
Just
and
kind of
spade?
bite her lip,
To
as
her-
she will
yes.
thousands of other times.
She looks like it is her favorite food is cacti, and she's never going to be able to eat it again once she leaves Arizona.
That is an interesting take.
One for the road.
Can I make an observation about this scene?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or pretty much
Please
any
do.
scene
Yeah,
in
that's
Twilight.
the point of the show, Lily.
It is so blue tinted.
That's the Blue Bell, a new feature I'm debuting here on this episode. Congratulations, Lily. In 6 episodes, you are the 6th guest to mention how blue everything is.
Wow.
And now every time a guest says how blue it is, I'm going to ring the Blue Bell.
You are so excited. You just lit up.
I did.
I've never seen you happier.
It was so much fun. Oh, thank you so much. But yes, it is a very blue movie. Even in this scene that's in the gym and has a lot of like yellows in it, it still manages to be very blue.
She looks translucent.
At the very top of this scene, Eric, the newspaper guy,
That's the
is
newspaper
talking
guy.
to his friends, and you can hear a little bit of dialogue. It's not anything you were supposed to hear. I'm guessing it's improvised, but he says, we come in mid-sentence, and he's talking about a pyramid falls from the sky, and then you guys can give each other a high five. So my question to you, much like the bag of eggs, is what the hell is going on
What
there?
is going on there?
What is he talking about?
Can you say it one more time? The pyramid is falling from the sky.
Here, I'm going to pause it and play it for you so we can get the
great.
exact
'Cause
audio.
what?
Like masterpiece, we'll have like this crazy pyramid fall from the sky, and then
It's my pleasure,
you guys
madame.
can, you guys can give each other
Burrito,
a
my friend.
five. Hey, Mikey, you met my home.
I did hear it, but it makes no sense.
A crazy pyramid falls from the sky.
Yep.
And then you guys can like give each other high fives. So I'm guessing he's talking about some sort of video or something.
That's what I kind of am relaying that he was, because he kind of like the high five end of it is when Bella's coming to sit down.
Yeah.
So maybe he gets a little distracted by her, and that might make maybe he just sort of makes something up there. But I would believe it does sound like like a video game, or like he's recounting a dream or something. It could be
Okay.
a dream or something. Like, a pyramid falling from the sky, or like a hypothetical situation. It's so strange.
I know. To me, it
That was
sounds like
weird.
he wants to make like a music video or something.
Okay.
That's my assumption.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Or like some
Okay,
sort of
'cause
like
he's artsy.
promoting for the newspaper or prom or something.
like maybe a
But I just
video.
don't know what that would be.
A pyramid falling from the sky.
Yeah.
And then you guys all give each other high fives.
Right. You know, those little movies you make with your friends when
Yes,
you're in high
right.
school. He just
Maybe,
got
I don't know what their school mascot is.
the Spartan. Nothing to do with pyramids.
So that has nothing to do with pyramids.
The pyramid is just
Okay.
for fun, I guess.
That's a good guess, honestly. It's
I'm
just
telling
something
ya.
that he's working on.
Yeah.
Improv?
I'm
Did he
surely-
get liberties there? Like,
I would imagine so, because there's no way
just
like
come in with whatever you want to talk about.
it's not important dialogue. You know, we're not really supposed to pay that much attention to it. There's no way they
Clearly.
wrote it out.
Right.
And it sounds like something a high school kid would just sort of make up and
Make
think
up
is
on the
cool.
spot. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd think that they would do something more like related to them. Like, oh my God, Mrs. Humphrey in mathematics was really a stone cold bitch or something. I mean, if it were me improvising, that's
sure.
what I would do.
I'm okay.
But I don't understand. Yeah, whatever. The pyramid's falling. High fives.
Despite the fact that basically nothing happens in this scene, it's rich.
I'm going to say everything happens.
A lot happens in this scene, right?
It does. And it was shocking because I was like, what can a minute and 15 seconds bring?
Mm-hmm.
And it brought us a different senses. It paid attention to different senses for us.
Yeah. Oh, man. Let's just run them down one by one. Let's start with the sense of smell, because that's my just big first impression.
Huge.
Bella steps in front of what I would call an industrial fan.
Industrial oscillating fan.
Not even oscillating. That's
It
the
wasn't?
thing. No, it's supposed to be oscillating. Felicia, we're going to get into this. But I don't want to lose sight of the fact that it is too big and too loud to be in a classroom.
And especially like a science classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't they have something? I feel like that would be just disturbing.
Don't
or
they have
messing
air
up.
conditioning? Mr. Molina would not be heard over that fan.
There's no way.
Whoever is sitting directly in front of it would just get blasted. And at a certain point, you see that because the fan is supposed to be oscillating. It's not.
Then how did it blow up the paper like that?
That's why I say it's supposed to be oscillating. In the
Oh,
fiction
okay.
of the film, it is. And nope, I checked. I went
It
frame
was
by
not?
frame. It did not oscillate at any point. But at some
Wow.
point, yes, it does. It blows so hard that if his hand was not on that paper, it would have flown off the desk.
Flew off, and there's no way.
No.
There's no way a regular fan would have done that. So
This is a disruptive fan. I am immediately just out of the fiction of the film. My suspension of disbelief is completely gone.
especially because the way they're all dressed, it's not like they're dressed like it is hot summer. It is
Yeah.
like probably spring.
They're wearing hoodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the fan so rough for?
I don't know what it's for in the fiction of the movie, but for us, the viewer, it's there. And I can't believe what I'm about to say. So that when
man.
Bella steps in front of it, it blows her smell directly at Edward.
I wish I was in the writer's room to be like, and how do they first meet? You know?
I have to imagine this is in the books. Like, this is
okay.
probably in the
Yeah,
book
yeah.
that she steps in front of a fan. Because smell is a surprisingly important sense in the Twilight
That
movies.
is true.
I can't imagine being the writer of this movie and thinking, well, now we have to make him smell her in a way that's not weird and makes sense.
How would it make sense? Or she could have sat by him and that would have been the reason why, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but we really wanted that extra.
we wanted the. It has to be in the book, right? I can't think of any other way to justify this.
But I can't imagine what they would have written. Like, they wouldn't have been like, she steps in front of a fan.
No one would have
That'd be
come up
wild.
with that,
Yeah.
except for Stephanie Meyer. Like,
Which we thank you. Yeah.
right? That's the kind of thing you can get away with in a book, but when you think about it in a movie, and you have to actually block out Kristen Stewart stepping in front of this giant, too big, too powerful fan, it falls apart immediately. But we got it.
I believed it.
Yeah. And I think what's even weirder is that Bella knows. Because when she sits down, he sort of avoids her.
Yeah.
And she gives herself like a little
She
smell check.
smells. Yeah. I would have been like, is there a problem?
Yeah. Or at least hello.
One last segment before we finish up, and that is another entry of Extra Extra. One of my favorite things to do when I watch a movie is look in the background and find the most extra.
Yes.
That is a background actor who is just sort of doing their own thing. There's no way they were told to do that. Today's extra is a student who is dressed in all black and sort of runs through the background of one shot, hunched over their lunch tray. Let me see if we can find it. There. That guy right there. No idea what's going on. If I didn't know any better, I would say he's not an actor and is like some sound guy
Like a
who
PA,
didn't realize he was in the shot. I'll post this on social media when the episode drops, as well as the sort of lineup of weird lunches. But there's Anna Kendrick, there's Kristen Stewart, and just zoom right through the
my
background.
God.
He's like hunched over. Like he's
Would
worried.
love to know his story.
I would love, and that's Twilight is full of that.
Yeah.
Twilight is full of people that you're like, I want to know what's going on
Books
with you.
from other perspectives.
I want to talk about the sheer number of posters that we see in the 26 seconds. Just wall to every surface in this scene is covered with posters.
Well, how else will you know that you're in a high school?
I counted 9.
9.
Let's just run them down one by one.
Yeah.
In the hallway behind Bella, we've got like something for a pep rally.
So true.
We've got another one I couldn't read. It was too blurry.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2 next to each other. One says save our oceans. Another one says save our earth. Seems redundant.
Okay, climate change activism.
Pacific Northwest liberalism, am I right?
Yes, I mean, I guess in Forks, you know what I mean?
We get in the office. There's a poster for Spanish Club. Advertising Fiesta Friday.
Totally.
What do you think Fiesta Friday at Forks High School entails?
I definitely think it's going to give Taco Tuesday
It's
vibes
gonna-
with no
yeah,
salsa. You know what I mean? With no verde.
It's gonna give white kid in a sombrero. The best poster in the movie, though, and maybe the best poster I've ever seen, is in the hallway behind the office door. As soon as I saw it, I knew this was gonna be the meat of the episode. It's some sort of generic school rally sign. It says, show your Spartan spirit. It is, do you know where this is going? Good. It's spelled show your, Y''R, Spartan spiritit. SPIRTIT.
No.
I took a screenshot so you can see right there.
No.
Y''RTIT. And so this is going to be just basically the rest of the podcast.
No.
So my question for you, Jack, how do you show your Spartan spiritit?
I wear green and I charge around everywhere shirtless.
How did this happen?
I think really tired and overworked set designers.
Do you think, okay, so that's my question. Because this was filmed at an actual high school.
Right.
Is this set designers or is this a child?
Set designer or student.
That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler to use what's actually on the walls.
Right. Oh, I feel like it's gotta be the set designers because high schools, I feel like, are strict about that stuff because they'll think it's some like prank. You know what I mean? To put tit on a poster in a hallway.
But the Y''R.
Now that is what's deeply concerning to me.
That's where I think it goes into kid territory.
Hard
'Cause
disagree.
This is one of those things. It's so profoundly weird that I don't think anyone could have done. It's a truth is stranger than fiction thing. I don't think anyone could have come up with this. I think this has to be the result of some sort of 14-year-old, but tit.
But here's where I think you're wrong is that because they're students, they're actively learning. They're like, you know
How
what I
to
mean?
spell.
Nobody knows the difference between your and your more clearly than like a sophomore in an English class.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But a set designer,
Whoever made this sign had to know, oh no, I put a T too early in spirit. And they had to make the choice to start over or just spurt it.
I mean, you could do show your Spartan spurt, but
That's worse.
so much worse.
That's worse.
so much worse.
He's being chased by, we will eventually learn who they are.
Yes, I think they're like the rival, like evil pack of vampires, right?
Yeah. We will later in probably 10 or 13 episodes of this show learn that they are the sort of antagonists.
Yes.
This is their introduction.
Yes.
Laurent, I think, is one of their names.
Yes,
Maybe there's
yes,
a
yes,
James
yes.
and a Victoria in there.
Sure, that
I don't
sounds
remember.
right.
All we know right now, some shadows.
Yes.
Who sort of run and jump
They
like they're
leap.
in the musical Cats.
Yes, they do. They like leap down, I think it must have been like a stairwell, and like the mere mortal runs down the stairwell, and then they like jump.
With these amazing poses.
Yes, and like hair flowing behind them.
The shadows catch the guy, they kill him.
Yes.
That is kind of the first thing I want to talk about this. This is unlike certainly any of the other scenes we've seen in the movie so far. And it's very unlike Twilight, the sort of reputation that it has. If you had just seen this blind, nothing else about the movie, what would you think Twilight is about?
Like some guys that get into a fight on an oil rig.
Right. It would probably seem like kind of a standard horror movie.
Yeah.
Kind of not
There's
well shot.
There's something haunting the dock.
Yes. Someone's killing boat guys.
Boat construction worker guys.
Some sort of maritime engineer. What is his job?
I don't know.
I think I saw at one point he has a badge.
I didn't even notice that detail. I don't know. Some sort of blue collar water and construction based profession. I don't know.
Blue collar water and construction based profession. I think that's a whole section of Indeed.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you don't even necessarily know that, you definitely don't know that they're vampires, but you don't necessarily know that they're like magical or mythical beings
That's
either.
true.
They could just be really agile.
They could be acrobats.
Yeah.
And like I said, they seem like from Cats.
Yes.
Judging for all we know.
Yes.
This is just musical theater people killing a man.
It also had some elements of, what is it? Footloose.
Yeah.
That famous scene where Kevin Bacon's like dancing around the warehouse.
Oh my God.
Do you know what
Andy,
I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about because I mentioned this exact scene in our last episode.
No,
I'm
didn't.
not kidding.
For what reason?
I'm just imagining him sort of out in the woods, just almost like it's just like Flashdance.
Right.
Or what is it? Footloose? Footloose. When Kevin Spacey gets so mad, he has to go to that like abandoned factory and like dance out all of his anger.
Oh my God, I would love that deleted scene.
That would be great. That we are really robbed of what is Edward getting up to when he's just having some big feelings. Footloose. When Kevin Spacey gets so mad. When Kevin Spacey gets so mad. Kevin Spacey gets so mad. Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey. There is ice on the ground, enough for her to slip on. She walks down the stairs, slips on some ice in what I thought was actually a pretty good stunt.
It's a great stunt. I have that written down.
Me
that
too.
fall is incredible.
She took that fall really well.
Yeah.
And I want to spend a lot of time talking about how did they pull that off? Did she actually like slip and fall like that? Did they have a pad that they like pulled out before the camera panned down? What happened there?
I think she fell. If anything, these movies, if they have any lasting value, it's Kristen Stewart.
Yes.
She's the best part of these movies. She's incredible. I think, and this was new. Like, this was her like first big breakout role. So they weren't paying money for stunts.
Yeah.
They had no mats.
I mean,
it was low
Kristen
budget. They were
Stewart,
spending all
though.
of it on establishing shots.
She was the face of the franchise. Why would you risk letting her fall straight onto concrete like that? It seems like a big risk. I don't know.
Hi, editor Ben Auksher here. I couldn't find a recorded clip of it, but here's a reading from an interview that Kristen Stewart gave with MTV in 2008. MTV. Obviously, Bella Swan is a clumsy character, but there's a scene in this movie where you go down on your butt, and I didn't see any kind of quick shot trickery to work around a cushion on the ground or something. How'd that work? Stewart. No, I stuffed like a little pad in the back of my jeans and that was it. But they did some weird thing. There was something to look like ice. They poured it all over the concrete and it was very slippery. But it wasn't hard to fall on my butt. I've done it before.
She's a pro. She's Harrison Ford. She does all her own stunts.
She clearly is a pro. She took that fall very well.
Yeah.
And I think we really all need to take a second to appreciate that. If you're listening to this right now, go watch this scene just to watch a good fall by Kristen Stewart.
And watch her face when she falls.
Yeah.
Like, it's not planned at all. She's caught by surprise.
I almost for a moment, like I watched it, preparation for this, I watched it once trying to see if maybe it was an accident. But there's too much dialogue after the fact that I think it had to be legit.
And not only too much dialogue, but terrible dialogue.
Oh, okay. What did you
The
not
line
like?
that she says, is ice doesn't really help the uncoordinated.
That's true.
Which I've never heard anybody use words in that order before.
They do so much establishing in this movie that Bella is clumsy that I don't think ever pays off.
No. Yeah.
Because all the harm that befalls her is a vampire trying to kill her, like some other thing that has nothing to do with her.
Absolutely. I would love a scene that like a vampire comes sweeping in and she trips and they miss. Like
That would
some
be
real
great.
like slapstick.
Right? Like all the vampires have their powers. Her powers is that she just...
She's a buffoon.
Oh, you can't even hold on to her. She's a greased pig.
Yeah.
You get a hand on her, she's gone.
It's not even werewolf anymore. It's where greased pig.
Where
in the moonlight, I turn into a greased pig. No one can catch me.
Even the grease comes out. Did you ever have to learn to walk on ice? You grew up in Indiana. I assume it's icy in the winter.
Oh my God. Yeah. I have some of my worst injuries
Really?
are from ice. Yeah.
Well, let's go. Walk
Get
me
into
through
it.
those things that may have happened to poor
Walk me
Kristen
through it.
Stewart.
Yeah. Well, if Kristen Stewart is anything like me, you're leaving a chain restaurant, let's say, just for the record, Red Lobster, and your
That's a good
father,
one.
it was good. I mean, those cheesy biscuits. Your father is tossing ice balls at you, not snowballs, ice
Yikes.
balls. In his mind, I'd like to believe he thought they were snowballs. But
Okay.
it's a frivolous moment that quickly turns into danger.
Was he maybe wearing massive mittens and couldn't tell the difference?
I think that was probably
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The same ones that he had to use to hold those biscuits. They're
To
so
pull
hot.
the lobsters out of the oven.
Pull the lobsters
Yeah.
out of the oven. Yeah, he worked at My Dad is Red, who owns Red Lobster.
I forgot to mention your full name is Sage Houston Lobster.
Sage Houston Lobster. I dropped it after this incident. I can't talk to him anymore.
Houston, just a stage name. I almost
Yeah.
called it a sage name.
It's a sage
It
name.
is both of those things, technically.
The other thing I noticed is that there was a coat rack
Yes.
in the classroom.
Yeah.
Odd choice.
What were there not coat racks, singular coat racks, standing up? Because I'm sure like a wall of hooks makes sense, I guess, if you're a preschooler.
Right.
Yeah, what is with that coat rack?
I know you were homeschooled, so you might not.
A recurring bit on this podcast so far is because a lot of this takes place in a high school, and my only sort of context for what happens in a normal high school is through movies like Twilight. And so a lot of this podcast is just me asking a public schooler, is that real? So, Mindy, coat racks in the classroom, is that real?
No, that wouldn't be real because
Okay.
famously, public high schools, you have what's called a locker.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, where you provide a lock and you get a combination.
So do you provide the lock or do they provide the lock?
I believe they provide the lock. I think
Okay.
I had a couple experiences where I did need to provide the lock. Specifically, I'm thinking in like the gym locker room. I remember we had to provide the lock.
How many lockers did you have?
Well, we had one in the hallway and then there was one in the gym locker room. But
Okay.
you would just keep your stuff in there during gym class. It's not like I kept stuff in there all the time. But
Sure.
if I was to wear a coat to high school, which honestly, wearing a coat to high school, embarrassing.
But it's raining. Famous.
So what?
It's very
Embarrassing.
rainy.
Like high schoolers, it's embarrassing to wear a coat.
Is it not embarrassing to be very wet?
I don't know. I don't know what the drop-off situation is like at the school. Are they all taking the bus? Are they walking? Are they driving? Like,
Well, we know that Bella drove her truck.
right. So did she really need, how long was she outside before she came in?
I don't know. It's not in the scene.
I know. That's why I'm just asking questions.
You just want her to catch her death of cold or something?
Maybe.
She's going to get wet and sick and
Okay.
die.
Anyway, she should have put her coat and her hat
Yeah.
in her locker.
Okay.
Also, we were not allowed to carry backpacks. Well, no, I take that back. In high school, I was allowed to carry backpacks.
I would hope so.
But in junior high, we were not allowed to carry backpacks because famously a few years before I got there was a stabbing. And so they said no bags.
Someone got stabbed with a backpack.
No.
Someone got stabbed in the backpack.
No,
Someone got stabbed by a backpack. If you had to name this scene, what would it be? And this is also going to be the name of the episode, so make it good.
Oh my God, this is so hard. I'm trying to think of a good like deer pun.
1 if by land, 2 if by dock / oil rig ?
1 if by land, 2 if by dock / oil rig ?
Yeah, put that on Apple.
I don't know if that's
Put that
the
on
most.
iTunes.
Yeah, so look for this in Spotify in a couple weeks. I don't know if that's the most unwieldy episode title, but it almost certainly is.
Well, you could also just do :
No.
fight.
Okay. 1 if by land, 2 if by dock / oil rig, ? Fight. And I'm going to just put an exclamation at the end of fight.
Ooh, volley bonk. Like volleyball, but she bonks him on the head. Yeah. It's a portmanteau.
Dear Edward, I'm coming for you. Nope, that's not it.
Dear Edward, I'm coming for you. I think that might be it. It took you a few minutes to come up with that.
Okay, by a few minutes, listeners, listen. It really took like a straight up minute. Okay, listen.
We sure did have some fun. That is it for this episode of Bite Size. Thank you so much for listening. If this was your first episode and you enjoy what you've heard so far, why not go back and listen to more episodes? I promise there's more where that came from. And if you are one of the many new listeners who found the show after I was on Jeopardy just recently, welcome. Thank you so much. There are a lot of you, and that sure is encouraging. I hope you stick around, listen to more episodes, tell a friend about the show. Thank you so much to the band Swimwear Department for letting me use their song Mauled to Death as our theme. Thank you to Ben Oxher, my editor. He did not edit this episode. I did, so if it sounds different or worse, it's my fault, not his. And an extra thank you to Apple Podcast user EaseH, who left a very kind 5-star review for the show, saying, among other things, I spent the last day and a half binging through it and laughed out loud so many times. A fun host with fun guests and a great concept. What more can you ask for than that from a podcast? If you had a good time and want to leave a review, absolutely please do. Maybe I'll read it on the show. Give it a like, give us a follow, share it with a friend. If you want to reach out to the show, you can send us a message on social media at bitesizedpod_ on Instagram or TikTok, or send an email to the show at myfavoritetwilightpodcast@gmail.com. That is it for this episode. I'll see you next week with a real live actual human guest. And until then, as we say at the end of every episode of Bite Sized,
Oh boy, vampires! Wah, wah, wah! Get it, girl!
Oh no, I didn't. What is it? I've listened to it. What is it? I don't know.
Give me a bite of that cactus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what we do say because we appreciate our listeners. Speaking of, tell a friend, give us a review. I don't know. Thank you.
Good night or morning.